This week, Australia.
Australia, of course, is the birthplace of some of my favourite bands.
It's rich, there's so many artists, and we just hit a wall. And there's very few of us that make it out of Australia.
And accusations.
I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with this male rock star, male narcissist, and then the darkness in the same paragraph. What are you trying to say?
It's definitely not about you.
This better be good. Good day to you, one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Today I'm heading to the Southern Hemisphere, to Australia, and I'll explain why after I've sung the theme tune. Unless, Maddy, you want to help me sing the theme tune, do you?
I don't know what the theme tune is. I'm so sorry.
I feel shocked and appalled. It goes like this.
Sorry.
Justin Hawkins rides again. I just realised why, when we were on tour, and every time I said to you, you should come on the channel, you just looked at me blankly and said, yeah, sure. Now I know why. Anyway, Australia, of course, is the birthplace of some of my favourite bands, like Mental as Anything, I think. In Excess. Jason Donovan and Kylie Minogue, of course. No, in seriousness, I want to introduce you to another Australian artiste who I met earlier this year when they supported us on our Australian tour. And that's Rageflower. Yes, so I should explain the person behind Rageflower and also in front of Rageflower during music concerts is you, Madeline Powers.
You're my favorite animal.
Or Maddy. Which do you prefer?
Maddy. My friends call me Mads.
Mads. Oh, that's quite Scandinavian though. What about Ms. Powers?
Yeah, it is. Ms. Powers, yes. I've gotten Mrs. Rageflower recently.
That's pretty good.
So,
Yeah.
or Ragey.
Ragey. That's why did
Ragey,
you?
that's one.
I mean, so I think Rageflower is you. And is there like a rotating tombola of musicians that join you?
Yeah, it's me, but it's sort of that Tame Impala thing where it's like it's a band, but it's me. And so I've got my producers all play in the band, and so they rotate in and out. I wouldn't really replace them. I'd more just take them out if it's the right kind of gig for the full band or a smaller thing. But yeah, it's Max, Nico, and Junior, and then we have a rotating drummer, 2 drummers that we love. But
Yeah,
we all work together. We're all part of the Sydney music scene and all involved in our own individual projects.
the Sydney music scene. Now that's an interesting expression because I think I've been touring for getting on towards 30 years, and as you sort of you go around the world and you notice, like, I don't know, I suppose it's a socio-economical observation that you have on all these different places. For example, you tour in the States and in some towns, some cities, that you sort of get a sense of neglect and you feel like, it wasn't this bad last time I was here. Or sometimes you see gentrification. But in Sydney's instance, it feels like it's become like New York-y, London-y. It almost looks like it would be really expensive to live there, I think.
It is. It's horrific. Rent is really, really bad. It's the worst it's ever been. But it's, there's so many artists in Sydney. And I think a lot of artists from other cities move here because the Sydney music scene is so profound. Like, it's a really incredible culture, but it's so hard for Australian artists to get out of Sydney.
Right.
It's kind of like this beautiful local scene. It's rich. There's so many artists, and we just hit a wall. And there's very few of us that make it out of Australia.
Okay, but when you're talking about having like a rotating team of people that come in and out and you're all part of the scene, that suggests that there's more of a sort of collaborative effort to try and pierce that that boundary, I suppose. and make
There
it.
definitely is.
And what are the other territories that you're looking to break through in, like the Anglophonic ones, like the England and
Yeah, I think a lot of us aim for the UK and the US. The US is great. It's very expensive to tour, and I think the UK is much more accessible for Australian artists for touring. But also the culture over there, I think it's a little bit like Australia in that it's a little left leaning and a little bit like the alternative thing I think really works in Europe and the UK for some reason, and that's very attractive to me as somebody who's not quite pop, not quite hard rock.
yeah. So how do you describe the music that you do now? What if you had to sort of pigeonhole it? What would be the genre that you operate in?
I struggle with that, I think. It's alternative. It's alternative music. There's rock elements, but there's pop elements. It's I don't know. How would you describe it?
I would say, I'd say alt rock actually.
Yeah.
Certainly the live thing. I think your records are. There's more production in there than you'd expect from an alt rock thing, so that's what makes it difficult to categorize, I think. But it still sounds organic. So yeah, I'd say alt. I mean, we can agree on alt, I think.
Yeah.
So let me ask. I'm going to read something that you've said here. Allegedly,
Oh, no.
You are alleged to have said. So you've got an EP coming out in August, and it's called Twin Star. Is that right so far? You've released a couple of tracks from it, and the first one was called Control. So you said, on the subject of control, it's written from the perspective of my alter ego, my inner male narcissist. As a woman in music, I came up with the idea of playing a male rock star for this next chapter. I wanted to test the boundaries of what is acceptable for women in music today. We tracked a lot of this song while on tour with The Darkness.
I know where this is going.
Wait a minute. So I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with this male rock star, male narcissist, and then The Darkness in the same paragraph. What are you trying to say?
Listen, there was it.
This better be good.
We were very inspired by the energy that The Darkness brought to the stage, and I felt that I could channel my inner narcissist. But I didn't.
What's that? Again, there's that narcissist word. I can't.
It's definitely not about you. There was something that helped. That seeing you guys perform, I definitely felt like
So,
I can
so when it
channel
comes
that.
to your chat, all right. I'm going to stop taking it personally. So when you're talking about like the inner a male rock star, so what are the rules different for male rock stars, and how so?
Yeah, I think historically there's a level of ego that men can get away with. And I think women, can touch that sort of, but ultimately will always be humbled and brought kind of back to their place if they push that. And
Is that you mean by societal stuff or by the trade?
yeah, by well, both really. I think women are a little bit more criticized, I think, and I think it's a lot in the cancel culture, and it's I think something that doesn't need to be the case. And I love seeing men on stage who just have that thing about them where just like, I'm a sex god, and and I think I want to do that. I want to see more women be that. And I think Amy Taylor is a beautiful example of Amyl and the Sniffers,
Mm-hmm.
of a woman on stage who does that
Yeah.
and who is completely unapologetic about that. And
So do you
I
think
think
that
that's also-
the cracks
sorry.
appear when there's a, because this is, you're talking about affecting a certain type of change in the way this stuff is received, really, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess.
And she's definitely a catalyst for that change. I expect, I don't want to speak to her experience because no one knows apart from her, but I mean, there's a hell of a lot of objectification going on. But I suppose the difference is that in the instance of a male peacocking rocks, this is, I'm not speaking on my own, but it's fair to presume, I think, that you're inviting that kind of objectification, and it's very difficult for women, perhaps, because like that's something that you're instinctively sick of after decades, centuries, and lifetimes of this being, like a difficult thing to navigate and to be taken seriously, but also to play with it. It's a really difficult line to tread, isn't it?
Yeah, I think and she does that beautifully and she has that song about wanting to just be in a bikini and how that should not mean anything, that it's just, she just wants to be in a bikini.
Yeah.
On stage. And I think that's the difference, is actually inviting it, that okay, like I'm minding my business, I don't want to be bothered by you, but if I get up on stage and I'm wearing something provocative and I am saying, yeah, look at me, I'm a sex god, that's I think where it does become empowering. And it's an interesting conversation in feminism in general about, and all of this discussion around sexual empowerment for women. It's, I'm no expert, but I think that's definitely a part of that rock star thing, that you have to toe the line as women. And I think it should be able to just,
you should just be able to stamp on the line, have a foot in each side, or just there shouldn't be a line, actually, when you think about it.
Yeah.
So the rules are different. Are the rules different, or is it just like, are the consequences different? How does this?
Yeah, I think the consequences, we think about, like, okay, Chapel Roan, for example. Chapel Roan doesn't like interacting with the public, and fair enough.
Yeah,
I think she's a human being. She's allowed to set her boundaries.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But there was an incident at a hotel where a kid came up to her and a security guard told the kid to go away, supposedly. And this might not have even happened, but the cultural backlash that she faced for that was insane. For her to just be like, don't talk to me.
That's a slightly different thing, though, isn't it? Because I think I've seen a lot of the stuff about that, and I think a lot of people are going like, yeah, if you want to be famous, then you got to get used to people talking about you, or talking to you, or there's and I think what she's fighting is a sense of ownership over her sort of, persona, I suppose. And I guess this is just the general standards. Yeah.
For
do you think
women
that?
And men and,
do you think that's so? Because there are a lot of male artists who have the same struggle as that, but I suppose
totally. But it seems like women are held to a different standard, that women have to be polite and have to be, gracious at all times, but you can, have a sex scandal with a 15-year-old girl or...
It is interesting the way cancel culture works, though, I think, because I think we pick and choose the people that we apply it to. And I think, I think you're saying that there's a gender divide in the way that, things are tolerated.
Yeah.
I also think that if somebody's like a cool household name and a bit established, they get away with a hell of a lot more than like an emerging artist. I want to go back to what you were saying about trying to get out of the Sydney. Well, I suppose it's more the Sydney scene, but I think,
it's Australia.
Australia, I think, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the olden days, there used to be this thing where the bands that broke through and did stuff, I think, that was like really meaningful. It was super like geographically specific, and or even like if an artist was singing about a medical condition, they might list the symptoms, and it was super. Do you know what I mean? Like everything was like laser focused. Like the experience that you're describing in the lyrics of the song or in the feeling of the song, or whatever. It was absolutely focused, and the best example I can think of is probably U2. Like when they're talking about the troubles in Ireland and very specific events within that period of time. Then they break through, and then it becomes like a different exercise altogether. They've got this enormous, broad fan base. Some of them admire U2 because of like their observations about that political stuff, and some of them just were able to, you know, project their struggles onto those songs and took the energy of that song and made it about them, the way everyone does, you know. But then after that, I think U2 stopped saying, you know, Sunday Bloody Sunday, and started saying things like bombs are bad. You know, it became a much broader sentiment.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the way to pierce through is to keep everything really personal and really kind of specific to your experience, and then broaden it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a way through.
No, it's like you're funneling down to a point rather than trying to appeal to the greater audience. That if you laser focus in, that's where you pierce through.
Yeah. I think maybe it's like funneling the kerosene, if you'll permit the into a bottle, and then, you know, making a Molotov cocktail and then throwing it over the boundary.
Yes.
It's like that, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, you do, and you have to be explosive in Australia to do anything. But then there's the whole other Australian thing, which is the tall poppy syndrome. So
Okay.
should we get to that stuff?
Yeah, go on, let's do that. I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, it's very real, and it's weird.
So the tall poppy syndrome is when an artist emerges and has a little more success than the throng, everybody else tries to hack it down so that... Is that right? Is that what that is?
Yeah, so that the poppies are all the same size.
Yeah.
And I think there's something very punk about Australian music, just inherently. We love punk energy music. It's that DIY, like anyone could get up and do it kind of thing. And I think Triple J really, like, that was the Triple J sound for a long time.
What's Triple J? Is that the big radio station?
Oh, that's our radio, like, it's a government funded radio station, but it is the biggest radio station for Australian music, but also international music. And it's kind of like the cool radio station in Australia. And so they, for the longest time, were really presenting mostly music that sounded like that, really, like, you know, and I love that music, this thrashy kind of like a little bit janky music that's surfy but punk and yelly. And
what kind of bands are they?
Oh, well, you know, one of my favorites, Violent Soho. Do you know them?
No.
So they're amazing band. Really, like, they're a punk band, and they've got great songs. And it's, when you listen to that music as an Australian, I think there's something. It's like that community feeling that we get through music is that kind of like, yeah, we're at the pub. You know, it's pub rock really that's developed into this new thing. You know, that the roots of AC/DC kind of carried.
Well, I think AC/DC provided the blueprint for pub rock, actually. I mean, and there's a million Australian bands that are like DC bands, and a few of them become the tall poppies and break through in other parts of the world as well, don't they?
Yes, yeah. Camel and the Sniffers, again, very much. They went on tour with AC/DC. But yeah, it's I think some artists who are a little bit more, have a bit more of a dramatic flair, or are like straight down the line pop stars, we don't like it. And we don't like it when artists, it's like, oh, who do you think you are? You know? Oh, you think you're better than me. That's
That's the Australian thing, is it?
Yeah,
I kind of feel like
we want.
Yeah. It's international, I think.
Yeah.
There's a sense of
Yeah.
community until the point at which somebody emerges, and then the community disappears.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely something that happens here, especially. I've heard in New Zealand it's worse than Australia. But I think we need community in music, and I think it's an isolating thing being an artist in general, and to have other artists around you especially is a blessing and a beautiful thing. And I just think that we should not be competing with each other ever. That art's just something that all human beings can do, and there's room for everybody to have their moment and be heard.
Is that going back to was it Andy Warhol's thing of the everybody should have, or everybody has 15 minutes of
Yeah, I think that was Andy Warhol.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back to your
Oh, we're talking about
it's
the
so
male
funny.
narcissist.
We were actually.
Yeah.
I do want to go back to that because I wonder, like,
That was me channeling, really. Like that was channeling somebody else's perspective.
yeah,
That song is from, I did have a particular male artist in mind. It wasn't you, I promise. It was somebody I know, and I just said like what I thought they would say in that song, and I wrote about erections and other things.
yeah, I did hear the erection line.
Yeah.
One in erection, a marble statue of me.
And there was something about knees as well, wasn't there?
The world in between my knees. Penis envy.
I see. So then that's Freudian, isn't it? Penis envy. I think
That
some of his
was my
stuff
favorite.
hasn't aged that well, to be honest. I mean, I think it's fairly reductive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
trying to establish what your motivations are, why those things exist, what traumas you're running from or speaking to. You know what I mean? Like it's all just like
Yeah, I'm peeling away the layers.
yeah.
The lotus
And
flower.
doesn't matter how
blooming.
many layers you peel off. There's always going to be way more than you
Yeah.
can manage, and it's a lifelong endeavor. And I think that's why people who write songs, there's no retirement age on that stuff. There's always going to be some things that you want to say while you care. There comes a time
Very
in
true.
some artists' lives when they don't care anymore, and I think that's when the transition from being an important creative force or whatever, it switches over to heritage act, phoning it in. And that's the formulaic side of writing, especially when you're doing like what I consider to be real music. Like there's a moment when it turns into the formulaic phoning it in version of what you do, or when you've established what your caricature is and you write from that perspective, then you're writing from the perspective of what everyone thinks you are. That's really a lot of people.
This is why Joni Mitchell's career is just like, I think that's the blueprint for the artist. That,
Yeah.
She started as this folk, everybody songs accessible thing, and she found her fame, and then she was like, cool, I'm going to be an artist for the rest of my life, and I'm going to experiment, and I'm going to write. I think her best album is Hejira, and that's a very experimental, interesting record that sounds like nothing else. But her later jazz records, and like that's so cool that she just kept creating because she kept caring.
Yeah.
I'd love a new album, Joni.
Yeah.
Give us one for the road.
That's it, please. And then let's have an example of a band that. See, I think, and I've probably talked about this on other episodes, but a heritage band where you're reliant on, like, see, Joni Mitchell and yourself, right? You don't need to nurture relationships to be able to create. So let's say let's talk about the Stones, for example. Like the Stones,
Okay, yeah.
The Stones
I
have,
see what you're getting at.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Stones
Yeah.
have evolved in a, well, I think, you know, from the 60s when they were just pumping out stuff that all sounded the same, to the 70s when it got dark and weird, and then it got angry and they started sort of almost deliberately caricaturing themselves because they were pissed off with the way they were being received. And, you know, like there's so much you can say about the way they've charted, and that songwriting partnership has changed over the years. But I think it's sad when you sort of get to the point when you need to bring in a producer to try and recapture what was magic about the early stuff, because the producer that does that never gets it right. They never choose the bits that matter to me. They always find the caricature is always just so unsatisfying. And I think that happens a lot more when there's a collective creative.
Yeah, because you have different investments, right? That so often, like, the lyricist or the front man woman is the most invested and they want to keep creating, but the bassist has had a baby and the drummer's going through a divorce, and it's, you know, like they're not in it in the same way, and they came along for the ride. But it's like very rare, I think, where bands are able to keep the same level of passion and drive along that road. But there's, you know, they exist.
But if you embrace the solitude, and you know, the isolating nature of the creative process as an individual, I think it's something that can last forever. I think those people are lifers.
Yes, I think if you're creating and you create in a way that is self-sufficient, you can do that forever as long as you want to. I do that. You know, I write by myself, and so I know that I'll write forever. I don't know that I'll produce and record music forever in the same way, because I am dependent on my collaborators in that way, and how invested they are in it. But I also do produce in a Rick Rubin sense, you know, that I'm over the shoulder and I'm invested in that way. So
you're like an executive producer that sits at the back of the room and uses. I suppose Rick Rubin's whole thing is his taste, isn't it? It's like from what I've
I mean, apparently he doesn't have any skills on the tools.
That's got to be bullshit, though, hasn't it? Because, like, you listen
right?
to, I mean, there are bands that I love. I love their whole oeuvre, and then the best album is always the one that Rick Rubin's come in and done. It's always the same.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but, you know, taste is, I think, one of the most important things while you're making music. That if you have good taste and you like what you're making, and it's going to be good music to somebody.
Yeah.
And he has such an incredible philosophy around music making and art making that it's, if he doesn't have any skills on the tools, but he just knows that, like, the directing of it all is what will take it there, I'd maybe believe it.
Yeah, and I don't feel like you necessarily want to see Rick Rubin on his hands and knees screwing a bass drum mic in or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, let's let one of the you know, emerging engineering talents do that. I just want to hear him. I want him to tell you what to do, not, you know, worry about absorption coefficients and whether things are on axis or off axis. It's about how it feels, isn't it?
I'd love to just meet him. I'd love to just have a conversation with him and sit down and
arm wrestle,
talk about music. Yes. That would be cool. Yeah.
Okay, so this week, your new single, I Don't Believe in Love. Hang on a second.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
That's not on. So it comes out.
There's plagiarism.
Wait a minute. Well, you've inverted something that sounds familiar. Your new single, I Don't Believe in a Thing Called Love, is coming out on Friday.
Yes, it is.
So are these guitars with capo high position, or are they parlor guitars, or is there mandolins and things happening in there?
They're all, so yes, capo, I believe, on both. So there's layers. There's a Nashville tuned
Oh yeah,
guitar
so
on a capo.
explain that then. So a Nashville tuning guitar is like it's standard tuning, but only with the unwound strings, isn't it? So like all 6 strings are the high
It's
ones.
all, yes, yeah. So it creates this really bright sound that I guess maybe they invented that in Nashville. I'm not sure why it's called Nashville,
I
but
don't know why they call it that either.
we use that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think that maybe someone just ran out of strings in Nashville, and I imagine it was an accident, and then they had a Nashville guitar. But we love using that on music. We want to add the little magical sparkle.
Yeah, it has a
really...
sort of Californian vibe, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Like I suppose what Big Star or someone like that would do.
It'll come back around. It'll come back around.
I like the way you look in this thing. It's really grungy, actually. Those white sunglasses, it's definitely giving some Kurt Cobain vibes. Are Nirvana an influence for you guys?
Yeah, I love Nirvana. I think the songwriting, the sound, the legend, it's really, really, really up there for me. And the sunglasses are, they're Kurt Cobain sunglasses.
Definitely. So Joni Mitchell, Nirvana, and who else? What was the one you said? Violent Soho.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't say they're an influence, but I think they're a great example of Australian funk music. I love Mick Drake. I really love like 70s singer-songwriter stuff. So they're, all of that is big. You know who I think is one of my biggest influences, really contemporary artists, Wise Blood or Ways Blood. You know her?
No, I don't.
I think you'd really like her. She is a phenomenal artist, just like otherworldly songwriting. And Harry Nilsson.
Gotta get up, gotta get out, gotta get home before the morning comes.
Beautiful songwriter. He's maybe a bit more niche. But Paul McCartney, loved him, and I think maybe discovered him. Incredible songwriter, but she reminds me of his songwriting. Like there's a quirkiness to the feel of the music and the lyrics, and it's just amazing. I'm very inspired by her.
So do you know the Southern River Band? Are you familiar with those guys?
Yes. I don't know them.
I just thought of them because we toured with them a couple of times as well, and had them on a thing that we did in the UK.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I wondered if you were aware of them, because I think they're actually making great strides, and I think even though we live in like this sort of technologically connected era, there's no substitute for geographically being in the territory that you want to have a presence in, and it's weird because there's still no substitute for actually touring, getting on the plane and doing that stuff, and it's obviously really expensive. You touched on the idea of like going to America and how expensive that is, and that makes it inaccessible for anyone that doesn't have like a label, I think, that's paying for tour support. So what sort of structure are you enjoying or frustrated by at the moment? Do you have like a label?
No, I'm completely independent. I work with a distributor, a really small family-owned distributor in Australia, MGM Distribution, not affiliated with the Amazon MGM.
They're lucky to have that sequence of letters, aren't they?
Yeah. But they're amazing, and they've, just been championing me. Not financially though, just
it'd be nice if their championing manifested itself in some financial championing.
Would be lovely. But I'm really lucky to live in New South Wales. Create New South Wales, this is like a government funding initiative, gives out grants to artists, and so that's how we were able to go on the Darkness tour. We got a touring grant, which was amazing. And they give out a lot of them. So that's sort of how we're doing it. We, cross our fingers and pray that we get a grant and we can, not be super out of pocket.
So that grant thing, does that work on a sort of project by project basis, or is it kind of for albums, or is it for tours? Or
There's many different kinds of grants. I was lucky enough to receive 2 this year. So I got a touring grant, which is a travel fund touring grant, basically. And then I also received the Contemporary Music Development Grant.
Ooh.
So that's kind of like a little mini advance, basically, but you don't have to pay it back. And it's wonderful.
So what are the terms then?
so
You're obliged to release something though, aren't you, presumably?
Yes, you have a time frame in which you need to complete the project, and you have to they're very serious about the acquittal of the grant, and where did you use this money, and how did you, and then show us that you did it. And so I just did the acquittal for the touring grant, and I had to send them pictures of me on tour with The Darkness and show them receipts.
That's really good.
But yeah, it's fantastic, and I think more states, more countries and governments should be doing that for artists, because otherwise, without that, we cannot tour unless you are from a really wealthy family. You're not touring. It's impossible.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that some of the other reactors that do this YouTubey stuff have noticed. Like a lot of there's a flood of emerging artists who all come from very privileged backgrounds.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I have a couple of theories about that, and one of them is when COVID happened, it became really, really expensive to fly anywhere. It became really expensive to stay in a hotel, and then when COVID finished, none of that stuff got cheaper. They thought, oh yeah, we'll just leave the prices where they are. For us, I think, when I say us, I mean for British touring artists, I think Brexit was a real fucking own goal. Like a massively overlooked the touring arts and didn't think about the impact of that, which is so short-sighted, because I think for a while there, the second biggest export that Britain had was music. And, just, fuck those guys, Cheers, everyone who voted for that. And that includes my grandmother, my 97-year-old grandmother, laying on her deathbed going, they come here after our jobs. You haven't got a fucking job. Your job is staying alive. You're 97. Anyway.
Grandma.
Yeah, it's not her fault.
Yeah, it's very short-sighted.
Yeah, and also, she was from Poland, so she came here looking for a job. You know what I mean? It's like, come on.
Okay, yeah.
It's like short-sighted with a terrible memory. Anyway, sorry, I've went off on a rant there.
That's okay.
What was I on about? Oh yeah, I think in an allegorical tale, from my own sort of like when I was sort of trying to get on in music and I was unemployed. I didn't have like a grant scheme as such, unless you went into an education, like a vocational education path that was sort of, to develop your skills or whatever. But they never actually, I don't think there was ever an initiative that would help you just develop a band, because there's just so many bands, like there'd be no money left, I think. But the good thing about London was you were able to sort of live under the radar, work for cash or sleep on people's floors or whatever, go off grid and develop as an artiste. If you weren't from a privileged background, you could find a way of scraping. And in a way, I think the adversity is a gift, because I mean,
I think so.
Whilst some of these, privileged youngsters who are coming through, their mother might be a model, their father might be a hedge fund manager or some other kind of structure like that. And then you might look at them and go, they are really attractive, but they've got fuck all to say. Got nothing interesting to sing about.
Their songs are really boring, and you can feel most of the time that they haven't had those adversities. They haven't suffered the suffering of playing to a pub of 3 people and slogging it in RSLs, and it's you know, I think it does something to you. And if you can make it through that phase, there's a fire that burns in you when you reach sort of, you know, when we had the opportunity to play with you guys, all of us, none of us had had an opportunity like that before, but we had all slogged it out playing these tiny venues. And to have the opportunity to play at the Enmore for us, we just had this like, let's fucking go, like just so much. And I think you see that in artists that, if you know, I don't like the hunger thing, like they're hungry for it, but I think it's passion, and it's that journey and getting to those places where you feel like, yeah, damn, like we climbed our way here and we've got something to say about that journey. It's important, I think. And it's all of my favorite artists have had that struggle through.
That's a good point. I'm trying to think. Give me an example of an artist that comes from privilege that is good. I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'm waiting patiently.
Nobody comes to mind. No.
I think perhaps one of the Wainwright family.
Oh, Rufus Wainwright. He's pretty brilliant. And and also then yes, sons of other.
Yeah, I think so I suppose people who come from musical, you know.
Yeah, that's a thing. It's its own thing, maybe.
Yeah. That's a different kind of privilege actually, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah. It's like a level of music education that is inaccessible, even if you've had, you know, I went to music school and I had a fantastic music education, but
you can tell,
I started that
by the
journey
way, you can tell.
Oh, thank you.
I was always impressed by the range and control in your voice. And when I say range, I'm not just talking about the notes, like the dynamic range as well. And you do a lot of interesting stuff. Like you do some of your, are you doing like, what's that thing called? Like is it called vocal fry, when it's like, when you're properly, is that a flap of skin that comes over the top of the other stuff so you don't actually damage the vocal cords?
There is a technique to it. I couldn't explain the pedagogy of that because that's not what I was trained in,
right.
But you feel it out, and there is a way that you can scream healthily and not damage your voice. And it's, I thankfully come off stage every night, because the last song of our set is ended with me screaming into the microphone aggressively, and I've never hurt my voice doing it, so I'm doing that correctly, I think.
Must be,
but it's not my thing always, but it's a fun thing to do.
It's a good tool to be able to pull out and use, though, isn't it? I can't do it. I would like to be able to do it, I think. You
sort of do. You definitely do use fry. I would say so. Like you have a crazy like falsetto thing going on, but when you do add fry to that, I think intuitively. Like I've heard like that airy grittiness that comes through.
Yeah, it's probably just because it's just mucus caused by it's
organic
dietary mistakes and lots of cigarettes, probably, I'd say.
Yes, well, that's always, cigarettes are beautiful for finishing. And
you sing about cigarettes sometimes, don't you? I mean,
I do. Yes.
Do you smoke them?
I don't smoke.
No,
not anymore. No, okay. I went through a phase. But I think so that line, cigarette panic attack, it's actually about cannabis.
I see.
It's about.
Oh, that's completely different.
Actually, Rufus Wainwright has that song, Cigarettes and Chocolate Milk. I think cigarettes is a nice word.
Yeah, there's something nice about it. I think it it slides in, and then there's not too much aggression in the consonants until it gets to the end, right?
Yeah, I think about the feeling of words a lot when I write, actually, that sometimes I won't even know what a word means, but it'll come to me, and then it'll make sense for some reason. But it just sounds like the correct word to be there.
How does that word form then? Is it just like because of the way the syllables bounce and everything, and then you work backwards from a word to contextualize it and make it work, or is it literally the universe saying, "Here's a word, stick that in"?
Honestly, I do think that. I think with songwriting, it's like 75% channeling. It's, I've had some crazy synchronicities with those words.
So the words and the meaning and the way it pertains to you is in the subconscious mind, but you think that you're channeling something ethereal in the sense that when the songs come to you.
Not in a particularly woo-woo way,
I didn't.
but
That sounded more woo-woo than I wanted it to be honest. I wasn't sure. I wasn't going for
yeah.
that.
Um, I really think there's something about the creative process that is a different brain state. I think, and I feel it very much like when I go for a long drive or when I go for a long walk and you kind of like stop thinking about what you're doing
Mm.
and things sort of come through and um yeah, I think it's you're pulling from a yarn that is maybe it's some universal field of creative force or energy, or maybe it's just that your brain is relaxed enough to sort of pull ideas from all of the information, all the music, all the art you've ever witnessed. I think there's something special happening there, and it could be totally just a logical reason for that, or it could be just this is the magic part of humans is creativity, and I like to think that maybe.
So these are. I don't know how to ask this question or even what I'm going to say here, but so we've talked about privilege and the lack of anything sort of that carries any emotional resonance or substance for people like us from that place. But that place, presumably, they're channeling as well, and so they have a different set of forces that are inspired. I mean, I don't know how this works.
Yeah, I don't either. I think, that's why I think it's 75% that. And that also, a lot of people who make art, I don't think are channeling. I think a lot of people put together pieces and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that some people make music in a mathematical way, or like these chords make sense together because this is how harmony works, and this is, and then I think there are people who breathe it out, and it's sort of like when you sit down with a guitar and it just you're not thinking about it, it happens, and it's connected to your emotions in that way. I think that you're feeling something in that moment and you're experiencing your journey and you're pulling from that, and then that other percentage is like what's present in your life, or what's there that needs to be unraveled when you're writing.
Yeah, what's that the soundtrack to kind of thing? Is that
yeah totally.
So when you studied music, what kind of course was it? It was like jazz and stuff, or classical?
No, it was classical music. So I studied classical voice at the Sydney Conservatorium. And I was on my track to go to opera school and do that whole thing, and I just hated it, and I didn't feel that I fit in. I was very good at it, actually. I was the top entrant, got a scholarship, and had an enormous amount of pressure from my teachers to, like do the opera thing, like be that person. And I think now maybe I could do it, but I was not. I was dealing with a lot of emotional problems, and I think I was processing high school, and I don't know. It wasn't me, and I needed to go on my own journey. So I studied for 3 years. It was a 4-year degree. Probably could have finished it. And I went and joined I did join some jazz bands, some neo soul projects, and just like experimented until I decided, okay, I'm going to do my own projects.
You've announced a tour this August, and is that your first headline tour?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's in Australia.
Yes.
So that's your first. I had no idea. You're an emerging artiste. I thought you were more established than that somehow. Amazing.
No, this is my second EP coming out.
No,
So
the first one's got quite a few songs on it though.
yeah, I mean,
It's more
an
like
EP,
an
they're long EPs.
Some people would call that an LP, or perhaps we can call it an MP. There's a few songs out there though. There's plenty of material.
Yeah.
Great. Well, good luck, and I hope to see you in the Europes, and
Yeah.
you know, I think stuff's going to happen for you guys, and somebody will give you all of the money you need to do America as well.
That would be great. That would be really great.
I
Love
believe
to
in
go
you
over there.
guys, even though you
Oh, I believe in you.
don't believe in love.
Love.
Do you ever get that thing when people like are listening to your songs and they go, "But you said that in your song," and you know, how can you say that now? Because you said that.
People
in
are
your song.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Sometimes it's like I do despair at it. I really do. But anyway, all the best with all the challenges that you face as a female in a difficult trade and a complicated world, and also as an artist in a I suppose in a industry that's completely saturated by privileged people with absolutely nothing to say, and robots as well. We've got AI. We didn't even talk about AI.
And now we've got the robots.
It's the fucking robots.
We'll speak on it another time.
I think we will. I'd like that. So I'll do the theme tune. This will be the second time you've heard it. Bloody cheek. Justin Hawkins writes again. Yeah. Well done. So.
Thank you, Justin.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Mads. Muz
Thank
Powers.
you.
All right.